Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Like always, this isn't financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education and entertainment purposes. And I'll just go through a quick market update. So the market is pumping this morning on mostly Micron's earnings and some positive China sentiment still out there. What's going to be interesting with the SPY, so the typical B wave target would be at 576.87. And what we want to see is, can it erase this bearish divergence on the 45-minute, even with this spike that we're going to see? If it can't do that on this shorter time frame, then it is actually still a wave 5 that's extended. So just understand where we are here. If we can erase this divergence, then the bulls have something to talk about, and I believe then we have to go back to this count where that's the 4. We're actually in 5, and we're getting this final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 600, 610 area. But it's all about how we trade today. Do we see a gap up and we continue higher with acceleration? That would be the 610 scenario. If we see it fade, then we're looking at a fifth wave top with the divergence maintained. The Dow Jones, let's see here. And for some reason, TradingView, there we go. Yes, having a hard time this morning. So the Dow Jones, again, this is the B wave sell area. So the top here would be about 400 points away, 300, just under 400 points away. So we could just be in a simple retrace of the first wave down here. This could easily be just like a wave 2, and we'll get something like that. Even if we do make it to another high again, I would be looking for this massive bearish divergence on the 45-minute with even a more pronounced divergence. Again, where this within this wave here was still in a fifth wave, even if we can break this high. The only way to negate this is to erase these divergences, which is getting harder and harder to do despite this euphoric moment this morning in the market. The triple Qs, we mentioned this gap. The gap fills at like around 494. It's about where we are. And again, the question is, can we maintain this divergence or not? If we can erase it, then I believe we're in a different count than what I have here for the NASDAQ. Now, ultimately, the bulls need to take this all-time high out. If we're able to do that, that sets us up for an extended fifth wave for a much bigger rise later. Even if we get a pullback and a flat, even if this B does come up and fail later, this would be buyable. And what this would also lead us to is the question that we'll get more of a melt up than a crash in the longer time frame. Well, I guess in the medium term time frames than we're expecting. So this would be a big warning sign to bears. If we could take this high out, despite even if we get a rug pull, which I do believe we'd get this later, that would actually be a support of the bull market continuation for higher prices with an extended fifth wave. So it's a very important development in that would happen technically for the market. So I would believe what could happen, like for the SPY, is we would extend this wave 5 would extend. We would go beyond 610. We would go potentially much higher as we get a wave 3 of 5 developing in the NASDAQ, or potentially even acceleration and erasing the ultimate divergence on the monthly time frame, which would be still hard to do. So this is a very important moment. So this would definitely change my mindset a little bit, but it would still not negate the fact that we would be due a big dump. That would be just a much more buyable situation, because if we get this dump and we can't take the high out, we may never return to these highs for many, many years to come. It may just continue to grind lower and lower and lower. But if we can break this high, I believe this would be supported and we'll get a big move higher later. That's some things to think about as we are in these areas of the market right now. IWM, here, let's take a look at where we are. I think we're in, I'm going to call it like this 1-2, this like one more push higher, could still be in B wave. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. The VIX, they're still trying to, pump the market by pushing the VIX down. Again, kind of stuck in another wedge in this area of support. You have this gap here. Maybe that's what we're trying to fill here. Maybe it filled right there. And then you have the UVIX actually diverging from the VIX, which is hidden bullish divergence within the VIX structure. That is still pushing higher. Looking to set to open at 446. Wouldn't that be something if we actually open green? If the UVIX opens in the positive territory, that's got to be a warning sign for bulls, right? That's a massive divergence that just won't sustain itself. And so keep an eye on that. If we can actually open green while the market is trying to have this euphoric moment, I think that tells you a lot about what could happen with the UVIX term. So China, now that we got this second leg higher, we can go ahead and label it in a bigger WXY pattern, which could get you to even higher targets, but ultimately believe this rally will fail. And I believe the fundamental case, the news event that could create the real panic in China is if Trump wins the election. I believe that could create the panic in the China market if he wins. That's just what I'm guessing. Bitcoin, really did pull back here. This was a very shallow wave 2. This is too shallow. I do want to see it go deeper. Oil, I did see, we did mention this breakdown, but I would be still careful it doesn't play this swing like this, something like that. Be careful, because typically if we had the real deflationary breakdown, we should see markets selling off. We're not, so that means we could still be in this sideways correction. Gold should be making its push higher. We're looking for divergences to be erased in gold. And again, trading views really lagging this morning. I'm updating my graphs. I guess everybody's panicking into the market and trading views glitching out here. But basically, we're in this fifth wave of silver. We knew we needed another high. There we go. And here's our high in 5. As you can see, bearish divergence here and here. So silver could end this wave at any moment. Gold probably will put the 4 here for now as we push up in a 5th wave. Net in gold, this could be over. It probably still goes a little higher. Could even be a flat, but we'll wait and see how this plays out. Again, the bearish divergences of wave 5 are here. So it's still very dangerous to be FOMOing in precious metals. You could be buying a peak. Dollar index is kind of confused on where it wants to go. I believe, ultimately we should go a little bit lower. But if we are in this 5th wave, this could be a 5th wave ending diagonal here. And if that is the case, then we may only have one more swing lower in the dollar index, and then the major cycles complete it again. And unfortunately, my charts just aren't updating with TradingView at the moment, lagging behind. And that's all I want to say on the market overview update. So semis pumping. Was asked that in my live stream yesterday afternoon, what to do with Micron, SOXS, and I gave you my take on it, and it looks like that is playing out today. And just like I figured it would. And there we go. There's our charts. And as you can see, the 5th wave is pushing lower here. I don't believe we're in this 4 anymore. I believe we're probably in the fifth wave is what I'm thinking. Okay, let's go to your questions and super chats if you have them. And like I said, a lot of people are frustrated with this market. They're confused. They have, they just want it to stay in one direction, just crash or just moon, and it just isn't behaving the way they expect it to do, and they give up their position only to see it swing the opposite way. So there's a lot of frustration with day traders right now, but it is what it is. So let's go to I8, the asset. Yeah, let's look at Tesla. So again, I'm still looking for Tesla to go higher, but it does seem like it needs a pullback soon here with this B wave. Now in the shorter wave count, what we need to watch is the divergences playing out. Now we just, on this morning, as you could see, we popped open a race divergence on Tesla. So if we look here, there's one swing, and now there's a second swing here. So what we'll do is we'll have to put the A here, the B here. We're actually in the final leg higher right now, in the Y leg right now, here. So what does that mean? It means it's going to go higher, but how high can it go is the question that we don't know the answer to. So let's take a look at a bigger picture here. Let's take a look. So this Y wave should exceed this RSI, as amazing as it sounds. So more than likely, there will be more upside. You have a three-wave move here. Here's your connector. That three-wave move should fail, but it should be supported soon. Again, it should be something like that. And we'll have to have a different target later. So I believe you're going to get something like this. So where could this leg fail? I believe it's going to find sellers right around this area that we're trading in right now. And again, everyone loves Tesla. Everyone loves it. But it is, I believe this is where it's going, something like this. Very similar to this wave. Very similar. And then a peak. That's what I'm thinking. All right, good luck with that. And then Palantir. Palantir is here. We'll have to wait for TradingView to update. There we go. So again, we want to watch the divergences and see if they can be erased. I have it in pretty much close to the end of its cycle. Relabeled some things a little bit. Let's take a look at some let's go to the higher time frames. So the daily does have the divergence between this peak and that peak. The weekly as well. Let's go to the 4-hour. The 4-hour as well. Even within the current cycle, the 4-hour has bearish divergence. So I would say it's very, very dangerous to hope that it's going to keep going. This cycle could already have ended and no one even realizes it yet. We could have already peaked right here, right now at 38.21. But do we have confirmation? No, we don't. So what I see here from a chart, I see a channel, a beautiful channel, and a wave 5 overthrow of the channel, which usually fails, which would bring us all the way back down to the wave 4 area. You have this gap. I would love to see it come back to $20 or $18. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. But if you're a bull, you're just hoping for acceleration higher to erase divergence, but you may not get that. I think if it could come back within the channel, come back to 34, 33, then I believe the cycle's over and it's clearly was an wave 5 overthrow of the channel, and it should be game over for a while in Palantir. But ultimately, it's a great stock to invest in and buy, looking at this chart for when this wave 2 finishes. At some point, it should finish. And when it does, that would be a good opportunity to buy it for investors. Now, again, that all what you have to hope for, again, is if you're a bear, is it does not pump and erase the divergence here. The shorter time frames, there's bearish divergence almost on every time frame that I've clicked on so far. So that should tell you where we are. We are in a wave 5 of a wave 5 of a wave 5. There's no reason to be like, it's to the moon. That would be just kind of silly to think until we start erasing some divergences on the smaller time frames, just like Tesla did this morning. Okay, Ronaldo, FFIE, let's go to your question. Let's see here. And again, TradingView is really acting up. It's really having a hard time with my loading things this morning. But I think we said that it was at a bottom here, and it looks like we got a little pump. So that's a good sign. That means this cycle ended. This cycle's probably ended with that pump. So now you have a tradable pivot that you could trade against. So typically with these types of pumps, you can't subdivide these candles. It's not worth the effort to try to subdivide it. So it's best to just assume that's a 1, right? That's a 1, and now you're in wave 2. So as long as you're above 271, the chart is valid. If you break it, then you're going to have a whole new cycle lower, and then that should create a selling cascade, because you'll break this, stop losses will fire, then you'll have this is a bearish continuation pattern that would result in much more downside, probably well below $1 penny stock territory. That's where I'm seeing. And again, sorry the labeling isn't working on TradingView. I don't know, it's like really glitching out. But basically, I remember this chart. We had it finished here as a buy. We got the pump, it looks like on open, and it faded. But I believe this fade is buyable. It's a buyable dip. And we may already see it recover as we're watching it right now. Let's go to the 1 minute time frame. I mean, try to day trade it. Here, looks like right here, we're probably going to take this peak out. It looks like we're already starting to do that because we got the buy signal. And now momentum traders are now going to chase it up 5% and probably go higher than that. But if you followed me yesterday, hopefully you got in sooner than getting in now, because now it could be dangerous. And looking at the 1 minute, maybe that isn't one, maybe that isn't, perhaps it's like this, right? And then you get another pullback down, and then you can come out. But it just depends on what it wants to do. Could be a 1-2, 1-2, or again, could be a 1-2. And again, we just don't see the subdivision on these shorter time frames. But it is being bought up just like I assumed it would be. I believe that's most pro traders will know this is a tradable pivot. The risk is very small. The reward could be enormous. So why would you not want to buy this and try to play that? It makes, why not? I mean, and it's clear the cycle ended. There's your cycle. Now the 4-hour cycle looks like it is even ready to end, but we don't have that confirmation. But once that 4-hour cycle ends, then you're going to get a pretty healthy pump in this thing. Okay? Good luck with that. EAT. Les L. EAT short. Okay, let's look at EAT short. Let's look at that. Let's kind of just peek how we opened. Let's check out real quick how we opened with some of the divergences. So the 45-minute divergence was not able to be erased. Still wave 5. We're still in a wave 5. How about NASDAQ? So close. So close. And what happened? Did we fill that gap? This gap is probably the most famous gap I've seen on Twitter, on YouTube that I've ever, I mean, everybody and their mother's watching this gap. And then how about the IWM is not worth looking at. How about this one? Oh, yeah, Dow's not even closed. So, yeah, so very interesting. Again, the chart is the chart. You can panic, whatever. Only 1% off on the UVIX. You would think that would be like down 15, 20% given the enthusiasm, but actually people are buying volatility as the market looks like it's in a wave 5 of a 5, like maybe it's an exhaustion blow off cycle top within this cycle, at least from September 6th. Okay, let's go to EAT now. EAT short. Okay, Brinker. Let's look at Brinker here. What is going on with Brinker? My charts get messed up again. All right, so we had a 1 2 1 2. So we broke this high. Okay, we broke this high, but what this cycle looks like 5 waves to me, right? With a massive bearish divergence, this peak looks pretty healthy to be a wave 3 peak and not a 1 2 1 2. So yeah, I mean, if you're shorting it, you're shorting a bullish stock on the long-term charts. But from a short-term standpoint, it should pull back down, you know, to 48. It's in a wave 5 like most of the rest of the market is in. This wave 5 looks like you're in 3 of 5. Now you're in 3 of 5, or it's going to do a flat and you get wave 5 later in an ABC, which is very possible given this situation. So ultimately, you're going to either get a flat, you'll come back down to 54, only to go back higher to like 88, 90 to then come back down, or you make a 5th wave here where you finish it up a little more decisively, where you have more like a 3, a 4, and a 5, and then it pulls back. The typical wave 5 target area would be at 81. And I don't think we've hit that quite yet. So the ideal, you know, short area would probably be somewhere around $84, $83. So I don't see a good short setup yet because of this. Within this wave, there isn't really a lot of bearish divergence. So it doesn't look like you found the 5th wave yet, the 5th. And I would say you would be hoping for a flat, which is, you know, a very, you know, it's possible you get the flat and you get really lucky, but then again, you could have a loss as this wave 5 plays out, and there is always no guarantee, since you broke the high, that it will be a wave 5, because you could always erase divergence, which we see time and time again, and then you'll get your account blown up if you don't stop out. So that's how I look at it right now. Do with the information what you think is best for you. Okay, Lazelle, GRVY. Okay. Gravity is some kind of space company or software company, it looks like. So had this big basin breakout phase. From an RSI standpoint, we got to go to a monthly time frame, see what we can learn from this graph. It appears we may even have to go to a quarterly, we won't get all the data right. So it looks like to me that this is your one impulse. So it looks like to me it's kind of a weird count here. It's like in a 1-2. Like from here. Let's see, did that low break? You know, it looks like this low broke. So we'll put the 2 there. And then it came out of a 2 and it made an impulse off of this low. that's another 1, 2 for right now. You know, something like 1, 2, you know, 3, 4, 5. And then this thing corrected here looks like 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like a 3-wave correction in some kind of ABC correction down. And now it's building off the low from this C. And looking at it, you know, you look at it, you see the peak, you see the divergence, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like to me an impulse off the low, and now it's trying to, you know, find the bottom in the correction off the low here of this cycle. That's what it looks like to me. Well, let's see. It looks like that wick actually broke that low. So let's label this the proper way if I can. 3. Yeah, I would label it this way. Something like, it actually looks like it's a 3-wave move off, and this is a connector. So it looks something like this to me. So this is a connector wave, some kind of connector wave, which means buy and hold investment could be dangerous. So this connector could actually drop to 52, drop lower, but it is due a Y. I believe a Y will come when this impulse is complete. And you're starting to see the bullish divergence there. So this impulse should be finishing up any moment, and when it does, that should create your Y wave will be born once that happens, is my guess. You know, where this is some kind of 5-wave move down. So that's what I'll be looking for. This should be over very soon. The daily cycle's trying to turn higher, which should carry Y higher. But I believe with this bullish divergence here, even here, that this will fail. This was probably actually 5 waves down looking at it, or I could maybe the right. Let's look at it here. It's the same. Looks like the same cycle. No, it isn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to change it to corrective. It's corrective in nature. And we're just going to kind of relabel it a little bit just to get it a little more accurate. We're going to relabel this a little bit differently, but it's the same idea. But something like that. This too is coming to an end pretty soon, it looks like to me. Because now if we would have took this peak out here, then perhaps it was done and it's just going to go into the abyss. So there's definitely no short here. I think there's long opportunity in this, but it's not all clear just yet. But I believe at some point you'll get this final wave higher, and then you'll take this peak out on the RSI, on the weekly, the daily as well, and then Y will come later. All right. Okay, GOVX. Let's go to GOVX. Let's go to GOVX. That is the monkeypox stock, I think. How is that doing? How is that doing? Is it back in another buy area? So monkeypox stock, you see that move? It doesn't really look like 5 waves to me, and the RSI doesn't support it either. But you see you do have a 3-wave area. If it's going to bounce, this is where it will bounce, but there's no guarantee. So it's not actually a good trade, because what you're hoping for is a 3-swing move. You're hoping for this, this, and this, but there's a chance that the connector is finished already, and then it's just going to go into the abyss. So the move off this low here was this leg, because we saw the 5 waves and the pullback. So the market told us it was going to go higher. It was going to take that. Now that it happened, it's played out. So now that this pattern had played out, which is what was the tradable move, now it's either, yes, it could either make another big swing higher, taking out this peak for a whole nother sequence like that, or it's over and it's just going to go into the abyss. And I just don't know which one it is. I mean, if I look, this looks like 3 waves. This looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like if it's going to do it, it needs to happen like right now. And if this shorter time frame erases the bearish divergence, that would signify this impulse is extending, which means that this C leg in this ABC is going deeper, and it means it's going to come back at least to $1 or lower. I don't think it's buyable. It's very speculative now. The idea to get in it was here, and hopefully if you did, you weren't too greedy and you took some profit, because it basically, we got in my alert at around $3, and then in 24 to 48 hours it hit $11. And if you didn't take any profit by then maybe trading isn't your thing, and maybe you shouldn't be a trader anymore. But if you took profit, then there's other things to go trade. Okay, Ronaldo, FFE. Well, that's cool. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad you guys got in on that and that worked out, like Micron worked out for people. Okay, JR. UAL. Okay, let me see. I think I have that one charted. Let's see here. United. All right, so United is in a very confusing structure because it's in a connector wave, right? A connector in a connector. Probably the one thing I always will tell people who follow me is you should never trade connector waves, and you should never trade the connector wave inside of a connector wave unless you're like literally getting in and out within the 24-48 hour period, because the swings are too erratic and there's too many permutations and combinations from an Elliott wave standpoint for what the structure can be. It could be a triangle. It could be, 1, 2, 1, 2s. It could be an impulse. It could be so many possibilities. WXY, ABC. Too many so it's just really not a good idea. But if you caught yourself stuck in it, where do you want to stop out? Well, if I was in this structure trapped, right away I look at this as 5 waves up. So I know already it's going to take another swing higher because it's 5 off the low. So I know this connector wave will end. So right away, I would tell myself I don't want to short it. But if I did short it anyway, my stop would be this peak right here at 63.82. If I got stuck in a short trade, I would say that might, maybe 64, I would close the short with whatever loss I would take. Because without that, there's always a chance it could swing back down. But I would recommend, if it does that, to leave their short position and look for actually a long position, because I do believe it's going to do that, which it may already be in that cycle higher. This looks like, let's take a look at the RSIs. You see that big capitulation here? This could have been an expanded flat that truncated in this connector wave, which is probably what happened here, which is why a lot of this is just probably like a CBA. So let's see if we could try to, this is probably like an ABC here. So this, looking at that, so that's probably what that is, that 3-wave move. And then this is probably something like this. It's probably doing that. And then it's probably from here. Again, I'm just kind of doing this like that. That's what I think is happening. Again, I can't give you like my advice. You always have to do what's best for you. But if I was in this, I would probably just leave the trade right here, right now. If I was short, I wouldn't want to be in it, because this is how I think it's going to play out. Just looking at it. But you got to do what's best for you. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you my opinion, because I think it's going to run up, could run up to like $80 from where it is. But I mean, if it breaks this, I think that tells you all you need to know. Perhaps you get lucky, you're still in 2, and it pulls back down. Or perhaps you get lucky here and you get another pullback, right? Something like that. Let's look at that impulse and see. You just took divergence out, because on the shorter time frame. So this isn't a wave 5, it's accelerating higher. So it's starting to accelerate higher, which means you could be into in a bigger degree wave 3, which means it could be more and more dangerous to hold a short position. It could get more severe. So just be careful. All right. Alex, let's go to your question. Okay, CEY. CEY. So CEY, looking at it, looks like you have one big cycle here. One cycle here, and it's starting, you see the divergence being erased. You're starting, it looks like a wave 3 is being born. Looks like there's some kind of 1-2 here. And this is some kind of 1. I'll probably have to put that there. This is probably like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And now you're coming into wave 3. What do these guys do? Mining and precious metals, go figure. Yeah, I mean, this sector is probably doing that. Now, on the shorter time frame, we have to be careful of a pullback, right? A wave 5 pullback. So we need to really look at that shorter time frame and see where we are. You see that peak here, how it took it out? This could be a lead-in diagonal coming out of the low here. So again, you gotta have to do what's best for you. I'm not telling you like what you should be doing, but this could be the count with an ABC, 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 divergence, and then you get a pullback back down to 97, and then you come out. But I can be wrong. We can erase divergence, and if that happens, then it's much more bullish, like I had on the other count. So it could be something like this, is what I'm thinking. There's your massive, there's your trend line, there's your bullish channel, right? Something like that. If I draw the lines right, perfect. That's your channel. So it's, as long as you're in that channel, it's in a secular bull market. But yeah, there'll be pullbacks. There always are. Okay, good luck with that symbol and HYMC. Another mining stock. This one not as bullish. Can't really chart it. It's basically a go to zero stock, but we may be able to trade it off the low, that its last low. So that's its last low, but that only looks like 3 waves down. So it's really not tradable. Uh, However, that's 5 up. Yeah, so it's only a 3-wave move off the low. This looks like 5 waves down. My guess is, again, I'm just speculating, but I think it's going to do something like this and just go lower. I do believe, though, you're in this wave 2. This looks like 5 waves off the low, and then it should continue lower. So not all miners are profitable or run well. Apparently, this one is one of the ones that isn't. And not sure why, but I believe that's the count. I think you'll get another swing higher, it looks like, and then it should continue lower, because this is only 3 off the low. So I would be careful in this trade in this. There's probably a lot of other. I like the other one a lot better. Yeah, there's not much we could see. Now, could we get a bigger pump with the monthly cycle breakout? It's right on resist, right? So it's a very important inflection point technically, because if we do get a bigger pump, so I wouldn't short it, I wouldn't buy it here, but I would recognize that there is a possibility that we know that this entire cycle has not corrected from April 22. So perhaps you can get lucky, correct that cycle, and get a bigger rally, but that rally will fail. So it's tough to say. I mean, looking at this again, if that's the peak, we could try to label it. You see how you see RSI on the weekly, that reset. So this is the connector wave. This was the reset of that cycle. So this cycle actually is already corrected with this bounce. That's why it went down in 5. So it's going to be very difficult to take out 465. It's going to be really hard to do that. But if it does, then this is the same cycle that we're in, and then it would turn into something like this. I'm sorry. CBA. Yeah, it would have to be, it would be CBA. So yeah, it would become like a really complicated connector wave, but it probably won't do that given that look. So that's what I'm thinking. That's the only opinion I can give you. I would say it's very unlikely it's going to take out this peak given the RSI reset I see here. This cycle looks like it's already corrected. The monthly RSI is at trendline resistance, which could signify that this too is ready to turn down as the monthly cycle takes hold again, bringing it lower. That's the idea. Like I said, I don't know. Not all companies are well run, and this may be one of them. All right, Anonymous, let's go to crypto. Let's check the market real quick, how we're doing. How's crypto doing today? So again, I think Bitcoin, this pullback in 2 seems a little too shallow, right? I mean, we did get the RSI bleed off on the 4-hour cycle, right? A little bit. You see a little bit. We corrected it. I mean, that's pretty bullish. I mean, if that's the end of the cycle, then Bitcoin's ready to hit 72,000 and break it. I mean, it's ready. It's ripe for that. So I think if you're trying to guess those 3 stocks, it's like what you're in the situation where you have to you're at the roulette wheel right now, because it's either going to do like we have it here down, and this is a 1-2 because we haven't taken this high out, and all those stocks you list are going down, or they're not. So I think we don't know, but my guess is it's lower. The bearish divergences will play out. The cycle will pull itself down. So I still believe that's the update. But we can look at the other cryptos. I still believe that's the case in all these. But like I said, I'm having problems with TradingView pulling up my charts. But basically, it's kind of the same situation, looking for that flat correction. So this could be a 1-2, and then it pulls it back down, where this was a 1 and an ABC, right? That's BCHG. Then BitX, same thing, wave 2. You see that wave 2? That's what I'm looking for, right? So I'm looking for a pullback, probably to 27. This could be a connector wave. This is what I'm thinking is going to play out like that. That's what I'm thinking. Now, maybe it can go a little higher, but again, you know, we're looking for, right? Let's take a look at the 40, the shorter cycle. This has to play out, but I'll say this: there is a chance it's actually already finished, because like I showed you before, the cycle, so I don't, but it's too shallow, it's too bullish. But hopefully you bought it here and then you don't care what it's doing over here. But if you bought it up here, well, you're kind of late and you're taking a lot of risk. So I don't know. I personally like to see a deeper pullback, but I can't guarantee it. And it is a 50-50 coin flip right now with crypto. So you're just going to have to, if you don't have a position already from these earlier levels when I posted about this, then you're really just taking, you're going to have to take your chance at the casino today, because you're either going to have to catch this wave 3 and then you'll be happy you did that, or you're going to buy it at the worst possible moment right before a big dump, and then you're going to have to hold the loss and then get out of it later. There's just no, this is a really bad place to trade crypto at the moment. But anyway, but I do believe ultimately it goes higher, no matter what happens here. So BCHG, yeah, I don't know why this, again, trading views glitching out this morning, but I would put the 1 here, A, B. I'd still be looking for C. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's my chart. That's what I'm looking for still, something like this to play out, right? Just something like that. ABC. So I'm still looking for something like that. Now, if we could take out 725, then this is negated. It's a 1-2, 1-2, and it's going to run. Okay, Alex, let's go to your question. MVIS. Oh, MV. Microvision. So it looks like it's one of these go to zero stocks. Let's see. Yep, looks like that. Here we are. Looks like we did have it labeled. So let's take a look at where we are with the cycle on this. So we know we're at the end, right? We're at the 5 of the 5. Now this, I always said at the end, you could always have it mislabeled, right? It could always not be labeled properly because you could be off by a swing. Now this was 5 down. So technically, we could have been the low here. Now there was also another low here. So let's go back to what I had before. So I had this as a 1-2. So could we still be in 2? Is the question. The higher degree 2. Well, let's look at the divergences on the higher time frames and take a look at what we're dealing with. Yeah, I see that the bullish divergence here between this W and that Y. More than likely this is going to fail, but we are correct in this impulse. So we are in 2, but I believe that impulse will fail and then we'll go lower. So is it buyable? Sure, because you're buying a counter trend rally, but ultimately it should still go lower when this 2 is finished. This 2 probably will come up higher because it looks like it's doing a flat correction, which the market loves to do these days. Something like that, and then it should fail and go lower, because you really need to take that divergence out between those 2 peaks that I showed you before you can even entertain the idea that Y is in. So to me, you know, I still label it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but could even be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with that candle there. But whatever they're labeling, it's clear the RSI is resetting the cycle. This cycle here, this cycle is resetting, and it's got the bullish divergence indicating a fifth wave here of some kind. And let's take a deeper look at it, because something just noticed. You see this, we're actually correcting this whole cycle, this three-wave move, but we didn't erase. So what's happening is it's morphed into it's morphing into a different connector wave for Y. It's morphing into a three-wave connector wave for Y. So it's actually morphing into a WXY connector wave, something like that. So it's just a slightly different count based on the RSI that I'm seeing. So that's the count it's morphed into, something like that. So it could produce a bigger bounce potentially, but ultimately that bounce should fail to resolve the divergence between there and here on the highest degree time frames. All right, next is MLGO, micro algo. Another go to zero stock. And this one, we did get that pump, and that's all it gave us. It didn't give us much, so it actually reset the whole cycle with that, and then it broke the low, created a whole new bearish cycle lower. But let's look at the higher time frames and see if it's just extending the B wave or not, or did this is this game over for this company? So you see this pump, that pump corrected the whole move. So we didn't. So unfortunately, yeah. See this pump here corrected the whole move. So it wasn't obviously a C wave. What it turned into was an impulse down, because it's going to continue to extend. So this is literally as go to zero as it can be. I mean, this probably won't exist much longer as a tradable instrument, more than likely, given what I'm seeing in the chart. But I know traders love it. I would say it didn't turn corrective. It did get the pop where you wanted it. It wasn't strong enough, but it turned into an impulse down. Now, in this impulse ended. Let's see here. Let's go all the way back from the beginning. I mean, if you have to go all the way back, this third wave, see, it already ended this wave here. So this fourth wave was here, and then we're in this fifth wave. The fifth wave ended here, it corrected, and now you're entering a wave 3. So this is some kind of wave 3 that's going to take shape that will probably take this out of existence, because this looks like 5 down here, right? And that looks like 3 up. So that's what I would be looking for now. Something like that. So so the bull case, I think, was negated. It tried the pump, but sellers overtook the bulls. The RSI reset, but it just wasn't a big enough move. Too much people selling into it, and so now you're stuck in this pattern, and I believe it's doomed. It's doomed. Perhaps it's a good short here against, maybe this peak. But it looks doomed now. Okay, thanks again for that super chat, G Dot. Green Dot Corporation. Green Dot, and it looks like could be a pretty ugly chart here. That looks like 5 down, 1 2 3 4 5 down, 3 up, and another 5 down. So this is a go to zero, going into the abyss chart pattern, but it does look like this is done. This 5-wave move is done. So we should get a counter trend rally that's a little bit stronger. You see, you're already getting that. You're already correcting that cycle. So that counter trend rally could be over at any moment, because it seems like a big enough bounce on the weekly cycle already. But I believe it's going to head into the abyss given this wave structure that I'm seeing play out. I just think it's just going to keep going down. Something like that. Breaking this low, breaking that low. And this is an impulse. That's an impulse. It's clearly you know, they're selling their stock, and it's just not working for this company here. It looks like that's the count. That's the count I'd be looking at for GDOT. Okay, let's go back to the market. I got through all the super chats real quick before we wrap it up. It looks like we're starting to see some fade in action going on. Maybe those divergences are playing out, starting to play out a little bit. Again, the SPY could not take these out. The triple Qs also looks like, I don't know did we fill the gap? Was it a daily gap? Let's look. Filled the gap, right? The most famous internet FinTwit gap that exists in a long time. And oh my gosh, the UVIX is green. That could have been your big clue that the market would sell off on this euphoria. We know crypto, wild card in crypto, guys. And again, if the central banks want to print money, think about it. China, I'm going to say this. China comes out, we're going to dump liquidity all through the marketplace. Dump, buy stock, pump, save the system. Because just remember, the most world leaders, you look at the indices as a measure of their policies' success in real time. They feel like if their indices are high, it kind of endorses their system of government, their decision making. If they seem to think it legitimizes their policy and strategy outcome as being successful, whether they believe in capitalism or not, whether you're a communist or socialist, they want high markets because they know that the rest of the world views that in a negative light, and image is everything in China, so they're pumping. But the problem with pumping and debasing their currency is that all the world markets are connected, so that liquidity finds its way in all the other stuff. And if they're really going to pump and print, and what if they do demand side stimulus on top of it, they're going to create massive inflation in our commodities, which are already at elevated levels. Prices are not at 2009 levels, where we're in a deflationary collapse, where we had a huge suck of money out of the system with the .com and financial housing bubble that blew up everybody, that we needed trillions to be pumped in. You got away with that. The Fed got away with it. Everyone got away with printing. China at that time did. Everybody did. But now you can't get away with it anymore. And I believe you're going to see that manifest itself in instruments, in commodities that can't be manipulated right away. Eventually, commodities will succumb to it. But I believe Bitcoin, you can't really control that. It trades. It's more of like a free market, and it's telling you, I think, everything of what's going on. So it's reflecting, like, think about it. Bitcoin's at $65,000. I mean, that should tell you where the currencies of the world are really, and how they've already devalued. So this is what it's telling you. So I think this China news is going to backfire tremendously. And if they play it out, I believe it will reflect in higher commodities, and the Fed will have a decision to make. Do they want to subsidize that by when they get the higher inflation readings? Are they going to raise rates on Americans, where Americans are going to be like pissed? Why are you raising our interest rates to allow China to pump their markets and keep their, no, hell no. Well, then what's going to happen? Well, then what is, the Fed can't. So is the Fed going to just ease too because we're in a recession? Well, no. I mean, then you're talking currency collapse, right? So they won't do that. So there's going to be a massive, conflict monetary policy wise coming between those two nations because they're in opposition of each other. You can't have massive stimulus and easing where one is so commitment and resolute to battling inflation, where we're already still above the 2% target, even today. There's gonna come to a head. It's gonna come to a head, and I do believe if they do that anyway, if it's like China can pump at will, commodities moon, and yeah, Americans, you just got to pay 10% mortgages and just suck it up. You're gonna have like a massive revolt of the population on both sides, Democrat and Republican, because no one's gonna tolerate that. It's gonna be a crazy civil unrest in that situation. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So I think backfire. I think it's going to backfire tremendously. And but some of the damage, where do you put your money? You put your money in the commodities. So what's moving? Silver, gold, platinum, Bitcoin, right? And eventually oil will follow suit when it gets down to this $50 area, and then that will start to moon. And then that's when they'll lose control. So I think it's going to be very interesting what the Federal Reserve does and acts once this inflation from the China easing gets into the financial system. Are they going to really raise rates, or are they going to just succumb to the inflation and just allow it to happen? It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. But anyway, all right, let's see. I got another super chat. Let's see. Nope, no super chat. Okay, let's go to your comments and I'll wrap it up. Like I said, if you want me to do your charts, it's $5. It's simple. Don't be a cheapskate. I tend to help people out doing well. I think the Semiconductors was a good example of that. I think that was a good $5 for that dude that asked me about it. I think he probably made more than $5 today. If you want me to go over individual stocks, it's $5. It's just the way it goes. I got to make this worth my while. But I will say that Costco, guys, here's the thing about Costco, will dump. I was in Costco on Friday the other week. Take it for what it's worth. It wasn't really busy at all. I thought it was surprising. Typically, it's jam-packed. Mine wasn't. Take it for what it's worth. I'm in Florida in a popular area. It wasn't no lines to get anything. I was surprised, actually. I was like, that's interesting. Take it for what it's worth. But I saw that, but I wouldn't trade on that, but it's just something I observed. Recession coming, absolutely. I think it's already here. Look at the job market. I believe a recession. I believe it's stagflation, 1970s all over again. That's the dynamic that I believe will hit the market hard, but on steroids, especially if China wants to print and just pump commodities on top of it. And you get a war in the Middle East that gets worse. Good luck. Natural gas is interesting. I am watching that. I'm still not convinced. But maybe if it could break 3, maybe it finally found the bottom. Finally. I still am not convinced on natural gas. I think until oil finds a bottom in the 50s, I worry about buying the Petrobosses and the Exxon Mobils, the XLEs and that type of thing. I just think that's a little premature. Also, if the dollar is going to strengthen, I also would worry that that would hurt emerging markets with a strong dollar. Why do I think inflation's coming back? Just look at the news today. China just announced massive monetary stimulus and pumping. Where do you think that money's going to go? It's going back into assets and commodities. What do you think's happening? That's where it's going to come from, money printing. That's the inflation, guys, because the central banks, all they know how to do is print. And our Fed, for whatever reason, is very sensitive to inflation, so it raises rates. So the question is, will Americans pay to bail out the rest of the world's economy? Will Americans allow the Fed to raise rates to extraordinary levels to allow China to bail out its economic system? That's the question. It might, and that could be your inflation. And also loss of confidence in the dollar, the ability, right? We don't know what we're coming into, but what I do know is silver, yes, is going to pull back, but silver is probably going to the triple digits an ounce in the next 5 years. Bitcoin is going to be well into the hundreds of thousands in the next 5 years. Like, these commodities are going to be mooned. That's what these charts say. Oil's going to be at $200+ a barrel in the next 5. So do you really think the economic system, like what's going to cause that? I think it's just the debasement of the currency. There's liquidities already sloshing around. And then if you get people like China printing money like it's nothing, that's just going to find its way into those commodities. That's what's going to happen because because they're starting out at such a high level. People are going to lose confidence. That's what's going to happen. People are going to say, you know, why am I owning this when I could just own commodities and own Bitcoin and protect what I have? And then all of a sudden, people are going to lose confidence in the currency system. And the Fed, you know, whether they raise rates or not, make Americans pay for it. They may, and they may do that. They may have to save the dollar. They may do that, but ultimately it would be to bail out the financial system of the world markets. And if they don't do that, if the Fed just is like caves, then it's hyperinflation, guys. And we already know what happened in Venezuela. Everything melts up, including equities, actually. So we have to be cognizant of that too, scenario, because equities is essentially an asset price in the end. So, but I don't predict that. I predict stagflation, 70s trade. A lot of sectors crash, but other sectors moon. You just have to be in the right ones. That's what I'm seeing. All right, I'm going to wrap up the live stream. 1 hour. Looks like we're fading, just like we expected. Divergence is playing out. Everyone panic bought at open. It's probably getting blown up. People didn't take profit. You greedy bastards didn't take profit. Good. It's your fault. Don't blame anyone but yourself. Good luck on your trades today. Bitcoin's the wild card. I think there's a chance it could pump a wave 3 and hit 72,000. If this could be a tight wave 2. I think you got to keep an eye on Bitcoin and crypto market. I think that's in play for continuation higher to surprise everyone. That's the only market I see that these gold and silvers look like wave 5s. Everything looks like wave 5s to me. The crypto market does not. Go figure. Okay, that's all I got.